Today on Real School Talk, I'm going to look at the old narrative versus the new narrative around poverty and public education.
In the unfortunate case, we have a chronically ineffective teacher who, despite our help, does not improve. We must protect our students by removing the chronically ineffective teacher from the classroom.
That was Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York. Back in June, Karen Rouse did a radio piece on WNYC that was fantastic, where she took bits of audio from the governor and other places to talk about poverty and its impact on public education, and she specifically used Mount Vernon, New York as a backdrop. So I'm going to play some clips from that radio program and juxtapose the old narrative versus the new narrative. Now, my next clip is the superintendent of schools in Mount Vernon, New York, a guy named Ken Hamilton.
I do not believe that there are more ineffective teachers in public schools or in communities like Mount Vernon than there is any place else. I would put our best teachers up against best teachers anywhere.
In the new narrative, your governor is saying, help me get rid of persistently bad teachers. In the old narrative, the superintendent is saying, the teachers are just as good. We've got 178 failing schools, 17 failing school districts. Over the past 10 years, they've pumped out 250,000 children, but that's okay. The teachers are just as good.
The education industry's cry that more money will solve the problem is false. Money without reform only grows the bureaucracy. It does not improve performance. Don't tell me if we only had more money, it would change. We've been putting more money into the system every year for decades, and it hasn't changed.
If you compare Mount Vernon to a Scarsdale, for instance, you can't ignore the fact that 25 kids in the classroom there and 25 kids in the classroom here really is very different. 25 in the classroom here may be equivalent to 35 kids based on the needs of those youngsters.
The gap in logic in the superintendent's argument is that if 25 kids in Scarsdale are equivalent to 35 kids in Mount Vernon, then I guess there's a tremendous excess capacity in Scarsdale, and we should be sending some children over there, which raises a broader question. Maybe we shouldn't have these artificial community-driven lines about where you can go to school. Just allow people to go to school anywhere they want. In the last legislative session, the governor was supporting education tax credits for people that send children to parochial schools. Maybe there should be an education tax credit for people that send their children from failing school districts to neighboring succeeding school districts. And perhaps the union would even be supportive of that, because it would mean you'd need more teachers in the neighboring school districts. I need to tee up this next segment. There's a principal in Mount Vernon named Jackie Lynn Manning Campbell. She's the principal of the Hamilton Elementary School, and she was asked, what would you do if the district got all of this money, a windfall that it's asking for? What would you buy?
We would be able to get full-time nurses, because our children do not have adequate health care. Our children don't even have Band-Aids. We would perhaps be able to have full-time guidance counselors. We would perhaps have full-time social workers.
I think anyone would acknowledge that this principal has a very, very tough job. But it's old narrative, because if you can't keep Band-Aids in stock, why do you need more social workers and more guidance counselors? And I didn't hear anything on her wish list that involved teaching or learning the core subjects of mathematics and English.
We see children who come in, they're hungry. We see children who hoard food, they're poverty-stricken. We see children who are disheveled. A child came in yesterday to pick up his sister. And I said, we missed you today, where were you? And he said, I didn't have any clean clothes. He's in the 3rd grade. He couldn't come to school because he didn't have clean clothes. I mean, where are we living? What world are we living in?
This principal asks a great question. What kind of world is it going to be? It's going to be a world where poverty and income distribution are atrocious, and that they demand that the public schools work differently. If you're a principal of a school with 400 children and you can't keep Band-Aids in stock, and your district got $10 million more this year than it did last year, then something else is wrong. As for the child that walks in hungry, free and reduced price lunch eligible kids. We have a federal program that provides breakfast and lunch, and if the school stays open late enough, dinner. The district has got to work diligently to get free and reduced price lunch in front of every kid who's eligible. And as to the issue of not having clean clothes, come over to the Amani Public Charter School. Look at what we're doing with uniforms. I've personally washed uniforms for dozens and dozens of kids. If someone doesn't have a uniform or doesn't have the ability to purchase one, we provide one. A shirt, a pair of pants, a sweatshirt. That's all it takes. It's a pretty good anti-poverty program. I hope you liked what you saw. I would encourage you to look at the information box where there's a link to the original excellent program by Karen Rouse from WNYC. Subscribe if you like what you see, and thank you.